You're standing in the spice aisle, and one jar keeps catching the light. Curry powder. It looks like a single thing. One label, one color, one easy scoop. Your brain files it next to cinnamon and paprika, as if curry grows somewhere and gets ground into yellow dust. Then you twist the lid and smell it. The aroma doesn't arrive as one note. It arrives as layers, warm, bright, earthy, and sharp at the edges, like a whole kitchen speaking. For a second, you can almost picture the meal it wants to become. And that's the strange part. Curry isn't a plant. So what, exactly, is in that jar? And how does it get made? Let's get into it right here on Secrets of Simple Things. Not a spice, a blend. Curry powder is not one spice. It's a designed blend. Multiple spices measured, balanced, and milled to behave like a shortcut. One spoon is meant to suggest what, in many South Asian kitchens, comes from separate ingredients built in stages. Seeds toasted, aromatics warmed, flavors layered until they feel complete. That's why curry powder feels timeless. It performs an old trick, turning plants into fragrance, while fitting a modern need: convenience. It's dry, shelf-stable, and consistent. It can sit in a pantry for months and still deliver warmth, color, and a recognizable, curry-like profile without requiring you to open 10 jars. And notice how it's used. Curry powder almost always blooms in heat and fat, oil in a pan, butter in a pot, because that's where its oils wake up and spread. That's why the same powder can smell quiet from a cold jar, yet feel loud and rounded once it hits a warm surface. It isn't just seasoning. It's a system designed to open at the moment you cook. But the word curry itself is slippery. It isn't one recipe, and it was never a single universal term inside India for every spiced dish. Curry powder exists because someone wanted one label for a complex experience. To understand how it's made, it helps to understand why it was made in the first place. A shortcut born from translation. The story doesn't begin in a field. It begins in translation. In the 18th and 19th centuries, British travelers and colonizers encountered an enormous range of South Asian foods. Different regions, different spice mixes, different methods of layering flavor. Many used curry as a catch-all label for dishes that didn't fit neatly into their existing vocabulary. The label wasn't created to be precise. It was created to be convenient. Then they went home, and the problem became practical. How do you recreate a flavor memory without the daily complexity that produced it? Most home cooks weren't going to toast seeds, grind spices fresh, or memorize which combinations belonged to which dishes. They wanted a single scoop that could gesture toward what they remembered. So, curry powder emerged as a compromise, an attempt to bottle a feeling. It wasn't invented to contain all of South Asian cooking. It was invented to be usable. A portable approximation that could live in a cupboard and still make a stew taste familiar and new. That origin explains why curry powder isn't rigid. There's no one true formula because the goal was never one exact recipe. The goal was a balanced profile that felt close enough to be satisfying. Curry powder is a bridge, built from spices, shaped by history, carried forward by convenience. A symphony, not a list. If curry powder is a shortcut, the secret is balance. Think of it less like a label and more like a small orchestra where each spice has a job. Turmeric is the heart and the color. Warm gold, earthy, slightly bitter, the canvas. Coriander is brightness, citrusy and nutty, keeping the blend from feeling heavy. Cumin is depth, a smoky warmth that makes the whole thing feel grounded. Fenugreek is the quiet echo, slightly sweet, almost maple-like, rounding sharp edges and making the blend feel complete. Heat is the spark, often chili or black pepper, waking everything up. And depending on the maker, there may be supporting notes. Mustard seed for bite, fennel for sweetness, ginger or garlic powder for savory pull, cinnamon and clove for warmth, cardamom for perfume. Not every curry powder uses all of these. Variation isn't a flaw. It's the nature of a blend built to evoke, not to dictate. Now that we know what curry powder is trying to be, we can follow how it becomes that way, step by step. Freshness starts before the factory. Curry powder begins as raw spices, seeds, roots, pods, bark. They're harvested, cleaned, and dried. Spice is trapped aroma, so moisture and dirt are enemies from the start. Suppliers aim for clean, dry material because freshness isn't a slogan. It's the difference between fragrance and dust. Roasting, unlocking the oils. Many curry powders begin with a light roast because roasting wakes up essential oils. A cumin seed is fragrant, but a toasted cumin seed feels alive. As spices warm, aromas bloom, nutty, citrusy, smoky. Harsh edges soften, complexity deepens. If you've ever dry toasted coriander and cumin, you know the moment. A faint crackle, then the scent rises like a curtain lifting. Producers recreate that lift at scale with controlled heat and careful timing. Too little roast leaves the blend flat. Too much turns it bitter. Cooling and grinding, turning seeds into dust. After roasting, spices are cooled so released oils don't make the grind clump and smear. Then the spices are milled. Industrial grinders crush hard seeds and roots into fine powder with consistent particle size. Stone mills may do it more slowly. Either way, the goal is the same. A smooth powder that blends evenly so one pinch tastes like the next. Blending, where the recipe becomes a signature. Grinding is mechanics, blending is identity. Here, spices are measured and mixed to match a chosen profile. More turmeric brightens color and softens bite. More cumin deepens warmth. More chili shifts the blend toward fire. A touch of fenugreek can make the whole thing feel rounder. Big brands chase consistency. Smaller makers may adjust by smell and experience. But everyone is chasing balance. Many voices, one coherent aroma. Fighting air, light, and time. Once blended, curry powder becomes fragile in a quiet way. Oxygen steals aroma. Light dulls pigments. Moisture clumps the powder and speeds loss. So it's packaged quickly in sealed jars or foil-lined pouches. Some producers flush packages with inert gas like nitrogen to slow oxidation. The jar isn't just a container. It's a shield. At home, that means two identical curry powders can behave like different products simply because one has been sitting open near a sunny window. When the aroma fades, people blame the recipe, but the real culprit is often exposure, time plus air. Curry powder versus real curry. Curry powder often gets judged by a standard it was never built to meet. People assume it's the foundation of Indian cooking, the one universal mix every curry starts with. But South Asian cooking isn't built around one global powder. It's built around techniques and combinations that change by region, dish, and household. Sometimes toasted whole and ground fresh, sometimes layered at different moments. Curry powder, by contrast, is a global pantry tool. It can make soups, stews, marinades, roasted vegetables, Even scrambled eggs taste warm and complex with almost no setup. That's why it's spread. It stores well, ships well, and delivers a recognizable profile across borders. It also helps to separate curry powder from curry paste. Curry paste, common in Thai cooking, is moist, combining spices with fresh ingredients like garlic, lemongrass, and ginger. It tastes more immediate and herbal. Curry powder is dry, portable, and designed to bloom when it hits heat and fat. Curry powder isn't a lie. It's a shortcut with a history. The misunderstanding isn't the food. It's the expectation that a shortcut should contain an entire continent. The 5-second rule. If curry powder is aroma trapped in dust, the practical question becomes simple. Is your jar still worth using? Here's a 5-second check. Open the lid and smell. If the aroma rises immediately, warm, bright, layered, you're good. If it smells flat or faint, the volatile oils have drifted away. Then look at the powder. Fresh curry powder is vibrant and loose. Dull color or clumps usually mean moisture and muted flavor. Finally, remember the enemies: air, light, humidity, and store it sealed in a cool, dry place away from sunlight. And if you're choosing between blends, think in feelings. More cumin and coriander often reads warmer and deeper. More chili reads sharper and hotter. More turmeric reads brighter and gentler. The label lists ingredients. Your nose tells you truth. A jar that traveled. The next time you see curry powder on your shelf, try not to see random yellow dust. See a tiny engineered bridge. It starts with farmers harvesting seeds and roots. It passes through roasting that unlocks oils, grinding that turns hard plants into powder, blending that aims for balance, and packaging that fights oxygen and time. It isn't a single ancient spice. It's a modern way of carrying an ancient idea. Fragrance can be built, and flavor can travel. Curry powder may have been born from convenience, but it still holds craftsmanship. And in a quiet way, it carries history too. The way words move, the way tastes migrate, the way kitchens adapt. In a world where most things get simplified into labels, curry powder is a reminder that flavor is usually the opposite of simple. It's layers, compromises, and craft, turned into something you can hold in one hand every day. If this changed how you see that yellow jar, tell me, what's your favorite way to use curry powder? Stews, roasted vegetables, eggs, or something unexpected? And if you enjoy uncovering the hidden stories inside everyday ingredients, consider subscribing so you don't miss the next small secret.